Hello, I'm Sora Lexon, and this is Tarot card 4 of Pentacles, the Lord of Earthly Power, who rules as the Sun in Capricorn from the 20th to the 30th degree. A lot of people refer to this as a withholding card or a me, I, mine card for its tendency towards immediate earthly gains unshared. But the occult interpretation, the much deeper esoteric meanings here are so much more than that. Really, this is more of a protective awareness or be mindful card in its upright position, a hibernation card, which is not to be confused with stagnation or just sleeping, because that isn't what hibernation is. It's conservation, right? And there are times when conserving, when finding that cave and having what you need and staying still to hold on to your energies is absolutely necessary and is the action you're taking by not taking any action. The fours of the sacred tarot speak to us of the attributes of Chesed, within the tree of life, and that's going to have the ability to settle things or to fix matters into a set state, a set position in time and space on the material plane. Chesed brings things into realization and completion, into, one might even say, a state of perfection for those Capricorns. And the Four of Pentacles, the card of material works, is highly reflective of those characteristics and influences. The posture of the person we see here is defensive, tightly curled inward, but also notice the perfect balance of the coin cradled in the Lord's arms. It's reminiscent of other symbols that move in two directions. Note the symmetry and balance of the golden orbs again on both the horizontal and vertical planes visually. Where does all of that yellow draw the eye? Well grounded, but also ascendant upon the crown as well. Now, to be fair, these pentacles, the individual seen here could fall asleep and a single coin can't even be pulled out from underfoot without them waking up. So again, that defensive posture, that protective posture. And there is material gain here. But the gains of earth, which come in many forms, not just money, which is so misleading when people call the Pentacles coin cards. It's not just about finances, not just even about physical resources. There are other earthly resources, things like power, title, successes, having mastery and or authority over one's land, family, career, control and command of your own choices and decisions. Look to the three-tiered crown again, sovereignty symbolically. Really, this is a card of general domination, which isn't always a bad thing. It's a holistic sort of supremacy, just as a great good king or lord would have. But again, remember that current state of gain and mastery over one's material holdings here is a fixed thing. So once fulfilled, once recognized, it doesn't lead beyond that event, beyond the matter at hand. This is not a card that carries forward into future places, times, or interactions and relationships. It's fixed, set, perfected in itself as it occurs in this time, in this place, with these criteria and circumstance. The town in the background is clearly thriving. All is of a pattern here. You have this very clean, empty, visual backdrop. The scene is free of any weather. Everything is very clear, very precise, very carefully ordered. You have those passionate reds of energy and forward activity being held down, covered up in place by that material, earthly black shawl. So, for example, think of being given a present. It is what it is. It occurs in that time and place and then it's complete, right? There's a little bit of blue, but there's not a lot of the alchemical blue here, not a lot of water or motion. So you're not going to see a lot of movement into the future. Just said of hey, it's a full and final thing. One of the names of the angels, Mendiel, from the Shem HaMafaraj, that is the 72 full name of God, whose seat resides in this card, Mendiel's seat is here, actually means honorable. While the other angel's name reminds us to take joy in what has been received, to rejoice. But this isn't a card of any great cunning, enterprise, creation, uniqueness, imaginative, inventive, resourcefulness. None of that is happening here. Honor tends towards prudence. A dignified character tends towards pragmatism. And sometimes playing it safe can give us that space or moment we need to rejoice in what we have, to become mindful of it as we sit still and recognize it. On balance, there's nothing wrong with having the presence of mind, that awareness to hold on to what one already has. But there's also no great talent or action thriving here, resulting in outcome or powerful influence. The supremacy here is fully recognized in itself. The gains here, resources or authority, simply are. There is no lack of energetic conservation to this card where the querent is concerned. Usually the querent tends to be almost in what would be called a holding pattern when this card rises to their fingertips. Not having or wanting to expend resources freely, perhaps, worrying about them in what could come across as almost a clingy way, needing to be very still and concerned with things as they are, being just so, nothing more, nothing less. But again, remember, there is safety in that and great security. You know, the alchemical colors, again, white and red, they aren't in this card for no reason at all. Stability isn't a crime. Think of your friend who has their checkbook perfectly balanced, or the student in your class who is organized to where they always know exactly how many pencils and pens they have available in their bag, or they have them out on their desk all in a neat row. Or think of, again, that bear, that hibernating bear, seemingly sleeping, quote unquote, through the winter in that cave. Just enough energy and space to make it through the season exactly as the universe intends, totally and fully. But not enough energy or space to let another animal come in, wake them up, or share the protection of that cave. That bear isn't going to be happy about that, isn't going to invite other animals, welcome them in at the entrance. It's going to keep them away, as it should. Judgmentally, we can notice that, yeah, perfectionists, pragmatists, the grumpy, sleepy bear, can get a bit obsessive, a bit standoffish, and they tend to lean away from sharing rather than leaning into it, more often than not. But those actions have their place. They can be useful, more useful, say, than the student who's always forgetting to bring a pencil to class at all, right? Or the person who always has their finances in a complete disorder, or the animal who runs out of food and then freezes in the cold. If you're looking at the Four of Pentacles upright, I would say if you talk a lot, conserve. talk a little less in public. If you give a lot, conserve. Hold on to a little more. If there are choices to be made, act on the known information. Make those choices in the same way that you always have, that's always been safe. Look to the trusted variables. Give the project to the person in the office who always produces in the same way. They might not be, the brilliant sometimes ingenue, but they're also not that brilliant, sporadic, almost flighty or irresponsible individual. Depend on the known for now. The Four of Pentacles reversed. In this reversal, there can be discontentment. There can be discontentment in this card, upright or reversed. There can be a tendency towards hoarding when security and protective posturing becomes out of balance, or of being covetous, right? Of what's already had, what's being held on to. You can't reach for anything else because you're so busy holding on to what you have, or you can't live in a healthy way because you have to sit there and just hold this coin forever. So you can see playing it safe with resources, over tipping in this reversal, the scales, right, becoming a very polarized, full-on selfishness. And all these wonderful coins as well can lead to suspicion within the querent, as the one who rules them, that holder who has them at feet, breast, and brow, now might start to feel like they need to worry, not just be protective and secure, but actively worry about every single person who approaches that throne. Anyone who gets too close might, be a threat. So rather than just being happy with what's held and rejoicing in it, there's now a paranoia, perhaps, or heightened anxieties that can easily lead to a querent fully withholding in all sorts of damaging ways, emotionally, perhaps with information or communication, certainly with material goods, but it's very unhealthy. It's very unbalanced. Having is great, but sitting around it endlessly having for the sake of having, or endlessly having to worry about what you already have, that isn't pleasant. Shutting off from others so as not to share even a word with what is now possibly perceived as a constant threat from the outside, that isn't going to serve you well. It wouldn't serve anyone well. It's possible gains or goods have been lost fully and completely. Again, final, perfected, whole, set, fixed, chesed. So those losses won't carry forward any more than the upright's gains would have, or the drain, or maybe the current financial resource venting that has occurred. But it's not going to carry on. It's happened, it's done, or it's happening, and it'll be finished, and that's it. So, what to do with the Four of Coins reversed? If you're stuck in stone, stuck in your traditional ways, modes of thinking, to where, useful minor judgments of how things are that you used for security or protective purposes are now real biases. They have become polarized, unbalanced into prejudice in a harmful way. It's time to shake that off. Get off that lordly chair. Stand up. Let the pieces fall where they may. Let go of those coins. Get them out from under your feet so you can move again. Embrace the unexpected. Toss a coin from your lap or from your feet away as a random act of generosity or sharing. Let the dust, shake off those robes and start walking and doing and acting on things again. Pull that mantle off, throw it off your shoulders, that black mantle, release that material, earthly, set in stone circumstance. Maybe take a risk you usually wouldn't. Share a little more information with those around you than you have been or than you usually do. Make a new or different type of choice than you usually would. Release your grip on the golden pentacle and open your arms to the new. Let yourself be creative. Break out of that shell, that mold a little. In the reversal, you can see that orb needs to fall away. You might surprise yourself. Until next time.